You can't help people if you tell them they have no moral agency. Now, nobody likes to have moral agency sometimes because it makes you feel crappy. And it also makes you feel angry if having been lied to about the fact that you don't have a lot of moral agency beforehand. But if you truly hate a community, if you truly are bigoted and racist towards any community, then you strip them of moral agency and say, well, there are terrible things, but hey, it's really not your fault. And if you are truly, truly sexist, if you truly, truly hate women in your heart, then you do the same thing with women and you say, well, things happen to you. The guy, you just got pregnant, whoops. And then the guy just didn't stick around. So poor you. And it's just like, take the moral agency out. Oh, well, there's this weird cycle of violence. It has nothing to do with the fact that the majority of children are majority of women are hitting their children. You're just frustrated. You're a single mom. It's difficult. You're a victim. That is the true sexism, is stripping women of moral agency. And the true racism is stripping any ethnic group of moral responsibility. And that is where you can see the most vile and disgusting racism and sexism that is occurring. Because that is roping people in to be dependent upon you for your own political gain. And this is what Diamond and Silk referred to as the Democrat plantation, which is a very powerful phrase, and I think describes a lot of what is going on in American politics. And you can see this with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. What are they doing? Well, it's terrible. There's all this racism. It's not your fault and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, God. If it's not black people's fault, but it's white people's fault, then guess what, people? You're giving moral agency to white people and not to black people. And that's about as racist as I can conceivably imagine a person to be.
Yeah, and I think, I don't want to make any excuses, but I don't think these social justice warriors really understand that. They don't get that point at all. And
wait, why would I care what they do or don't understand?
Well, I think...
No, listen, man. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did anyone say to the Germans, well, you didn't really know what the Nazis were up to, so no harm, no foul. Wasn't your fault.
No, very valid, yeah.
Well, again, you're going back to stripping moral agency from... You see what a compulsion it is? The social justice warriors, maybe they just don't really understand it. It's not really their fault, right? I don't care. Because the degree to which white males are given moral agency is the degree to which I, as a white male, because I'm not sexist or racist, will give other groups and genders moral responsibility. Because if I take on 100% moral responsibility and then I say, well, social justice warriors are just confused, then I'm displaying my hatred and contempt for them far more than if I say, well, no, if they say I'm 100% morally responsible, then they're 100% morally responsible.
Yeah.
If the Germans who didn't know much about what the Nazis were going on, if the Germans currently, young German men of 20, young German women of 20 who have a problem with the migrant issue are called Nazis. That seems like quite a lot of moral responsibility, given that they weren't even alive until, 40, 50 years after the end of Nazism? So I don't care. This idea, well, they're doing the best they can with the knowledge they have, so we should forgive them or we should cut them some slack and so on. When the hell has that ever been applied to me? I don't know your race, but if you're a white male, when the hell has that ever been applied to you? Where they say, well, even if we say that sort of white racism exists, do people say, well, whites have a history of racism and they're doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. We have to be patient. It's going to take time. No, it's just like, well, no, racism is bad. Racism is evil. White people should disavow it and immediately change their ways. And this idea that there exists these two groups of people, one of whom has moral agency and the other of whom are like dandelion fluffs being blown around by the breeze, is literally slaying the world. I'm not trying to put too heavy a burden on you, Frank, but you will have, as most people have, this tendency to look at dysfunction and immediately try to absolve the people exhibiting that dysfunction of moral responsibility. And that is an incredibly, but very subtly, bigoted thing to do, because you're creating two classes. You say, oh, well, Steph has moral responsibility. People won't say that to me. Well, Steph said this. He's morally responsible for this. He changed his mind on this. He's morally responsible for that. Fine. I do have moral responsibility. And so does everyone else. So when you have this tendency, which you've exhibited a couple of times now, and this is not a criticism, I'm just sort of pointing it out, because I have it in myself as well. When there's dysfunction, you say, well, somehow they're less responsible than others. That That's not good. Now, of course, most people want all of the benefits of equality, except when it comes to moral responsibility, right? There's this old idea that a lot of the feminists say, well, we want all of the equalities, and we in fact want super equality. We want more than equality. But then if there are problems, well, we want to be absolved of responsibility for that. And that's the problem with philosophy, or that's the solution of philosophy. Things be universal, yo. And so you can't have two groups of human beings, one who has moral responsibility and the other have a big pile of spine removing excuses.